Greetings and welcome to the Pretty Random Podcast, the only podcast on the internet. It used to be a Pretty Random Podcast, but it's now a Star Wars podcast. Yeah, we're here after how many days? 2 days? 3 days?
3 days.
3 days departed from watching the Rise of Skywalker, and we're doing a bit of a follow-up to the previous Star Wars podcast, Part 1 and Part 2, to show you what we thought of the Rise of Skywalker. I'm joined by exactly the same crew as last time, Holly, Jed, and Luke.
Yo.
Except we've got an extra because he couldn't make it last time, and he was so excited. We've got Craig this time as well.
Hello!
Hey, Craig.
So, brief warning for anyone who has not seen Rise of the Skywalker. We will be delving in deep into spoiler territory, very deep into spoiler territory. What we're going to do, just for in case there's anyone that can't get to their phone or listening device to press pause and run away from it, we're going to be doing some non-spoiler thoughts on what everyone thought of the Rise of Skywalker. So we'll go around the same way we did last time. We'll start with Luke and tell us what you think with no spoilers, apart from maybe like stuff that's in trailers.
Yeah, we can stick to trailer stuff. Won't take me very long to talk about it and what I thought, because I loved it. It was a really good culmination of everything I loved about the sequels, and with all the callbacks to previous movies as well. It just rounded off the entire saga in a really cool way. I'll probably add at this point that all the critic reviews and stuff like that, I agree with most of it actually, but most importantly, it didn't detract from the feelings I had coming out of that movie.
Jed?
I think it was a very fun Star Wars, super spectacular. It was like hit the ground running. It's a bit of everything that you want to see in a Star Wars movie, what you come to expect in a Star Wars movie. And I think that if nostalgia aside, completely taking nostalgia aside, might be my favourite Star Wars movie.
Oh,
so,
that's really interesting.
Disney, if we could have your check, please.
Just taken my Star Wars balls out and slapped them on the table.
And they are mighty.
they're like Star Killer base.
Surprised you wouldn't hear the thud over the microphone.
It's really weird. He's got one light side and one dark side.
That's
and then a strange small lightsaber in the middle.
That's a medical issue. That's a medical
We
issue.
didn't know they did pink lightsabers.
They do now. They do now.
Flesh-coloured lightsaber.
And retractable, so it's like a dog's penis. And that is my non-spoiler thoughts of Star Wars.
Oh God! Scabbing myself after that. That's hard to follow up. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go with. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. It's not my favourite Star Wars film. I think there was a lot of fan service in there, which, you know, I enjoy the fan service. Some people don't like it. They're going, no, you're just doing fan service. I like the fan service. It's stuff that pays off the people that have watched all the rest of the films. So I think it's a good thing. It rewards people. I just genuinely enjoyed the film. It had its problems, you know, here and there. But, you know, what film doesn't, pretty much. But yeah, no, I thought it was a great film. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
Very much.
Cool. Holly?
I really, really loved it. Like Craig was saying, there was a lot of fan service, but I'm a fan, so I really enjoyed that. And I was thinking this too, Jed. Like, the more I mull on it, the more I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Like, I was really into that. And I don't know if it was just the fan service, but I thought it was an amazing time.
To like back up probably both of our points, or all of our points at the moment, it's very difficult to go into specifics with being spoiler free.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you'll get a lot more in depth. We're just being coy for the people who might just want to know what we think before they tune out.
Flirting.
Yeah, I still don't know what I can and cannot say because I still haven't watched any trailers. So I don't know what was in the trailers.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a Star Wars movie.
It's got a lightsaber in it, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. Many
Oh,
lightsabers.
yeah, I should add as well, before I say mine, both me and Jed have seen it twice now. So
I've seen it twice.
Oh, sorry, yeah, of course.
God,
You went in the morning.
Yes, I did.
She abandoned me and went by herself.
Yeah.
I a little sneak off, had a little
Yeah.
extra.
Had to. I
Early
was
morning.
having an affair with Star Wars.
You're having
Yeah.
that was nearly a spoiler.
It's
It's actually not a spoiler. It's been used in promotional. But
Okay, go on then.
no, that big lumpy thing. I can't remember what his name is.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Or
That's
something
it.
like that.
Yeah, where
They
did
use that
you-
all in like those of promotional stuff. So.
That's also something I want to talk about because I was like so confused about why he was so prominent.
If we're in the spoiler-free part and you haven't seen it yet, Klaus is a massive part of the movie. Like really
Yeah.
big. Like at the culmination at the end, what he does, boy. Like
After Ray and everyone else is dead, Klaus.
Tear rendering.
We are of course joking, but I'm probably preaching to nobody because
Everyone's gone.
Everyone's already gone. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, there's spoilers. I loved it. Both times that I watched it, very emotional. I think that's not something that gets across from a lot of the sentiment that you see, positive or negative, on the internet. It's incredibly emotional, pretty much the way through.
Yeah.
Like there's very little time where you're not in some form of emotion. If that makes sense. But there are some heavy feels.
Some feels.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's the non-spoiler part. In editing, I'll put in like a 5-second
Yeah.
dead air bit so that people know that's definitely where to jump off. But for right now, after the pause, we're gonna do what I like to call favorite bit. I didn't come up with anything imaginative or funny for that. Favorite bit.
No?
Can I?
Right.
Oh moi, my favorite bit.
I might mess it up here, and you might want to re-edit going back into this next segment. But tagging off the end of the spoiler bit, what are people's thoughts on spoilers with movies nowadays, and especially a movie as big as Rise of Skywalker? Because I feel like you have to see it almost as quick as you can.
Otherwise, don't even bother going
Otherwise,
online.
you can't. I'm not saying sorry you got spoiled. It's your own fault because but there's not much of a time frame anymore, is there? But
No.
Before something's in a thumbnail or big yellow letterings on the YouTube thumbnail when it says X
Yeah.
happens or such
Yeah.
and such.
If you can't watch it on as soon as it comes out, you literally have to turn off
your
all
phone.
social media, not view anything remote on YouTube that can be remotely related to the topic.
And that's got more and more difficult since the Force Awakens, or
Well,
it's just got more and more difficult.
Spoiler materials inserted into stuff that's not even
Yeah.
relevant to a particular film now. You can be watching a video of cats and then it'll go, Iron Man dies. And then you go, oh.
Oh man.
The thing is, though, I think it's I don't know, kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because people like J.J. Abrams, who and he really started it with bloody Star Trek Into Darkness, where he was like, it's not Khan, it's not Khan, it's not oh spoilers, it's not Khan, it's not Khan, it's not Khan, it's Khan.
Yeah.
And now people are just like so heavy into like spoilers that people try to spoil everything.
Yeah.
A spoiler's not a spoiler until you got something to spoil. But like, so I don't know. I'm trying to think of films that would come out. Phantom Menace was pretty guarded. I was trying to think of the trailer of Phantom Menace, but like, and the internet was still around. But then they spoiled themselves with the soundtrack. But yeah, I think it's more just the fact that they try to keep it such a closely guarded secret that everyone gets their kick
Out of
from
trying to
the
find
reaction.
something. I think that before we then now delve further and talk about the film itself, I don't know, maybe everyone can agree. I'm sure there was some bits and pieces that we talked about, either where the speculation or stuff that had come out. I was surprised with a lot of stuff that hadn't come out, and I was like, that I didn't see anything about, and was kept a secret. That was well kept.
Yeah, it was very. But I think it's so difficult as well because Star Wars has always been controversial. Like, you can't have a Star Wars movie without controversy, and like it's like I love it or I hate it, and I think like the people who hate it now, they have a platform online and they just don't care and they just want to talk about it or like rant about it without realizing that
what their views on X scene is a spoiler in itself.
Is a spoiler in itself, and like posting like screenshots online and like you're just ruining it for everyone else.
You're ruining it.
So there we go. That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler-free segment. So.
Yeah. Just again, like we haven't seen The Mandalorian, so the spoilers are everywhere for that.
Oh, yeah.
Dodging
Oh,
that
God.
left, right, and centre.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, I can't
We-
wait.
Minefield.
It's gonna be good. 'Cause it's about Boba Fett, isn't it?
Yeah.
So spoiler warning. I actually have written spoiler warning with 2 asterisks
Ooh.
on either side. So it's 4 in total.
Spoiler, full stop. Warning, full stop.
Spoiler, clap emoji. Warning, clap emoji.
I thought that was praying emoji.
There is a praying emoji.
There's one
Yeah,
like that, and
it's
then
like
there's,
that.
there's one that's got like clap because there's little pieces. coming
What
up
about the one
clap,
like
clap.
that? That's like hallelujah.
Spoiler, hallelujah emoji. I
Yeah.
can't say that word. You're done that.
Yeah, well, I
you know
study-
that's the word I can't say.
I do study
Hallelujah.
English literature, so
Son of a bitch.
I've got to get you doing that in the karaoke somewhere.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's just move on.
Right, so we'll go around in exactly the same formation again, and hopefully everyone's got a favourite bit or bits. But let's stick with one for now.
Yeah,
So
nice.
many.
Yeah, because
so
otherwise
many.
you're going to be stepping on favourite
Yeah.
bits,
Yeah.
Tony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll see me going, no,
That was my one.
I think of another one now.
Yeah, I definitely need to do a second rewatch, which I was going to do tonight, to find a favourite bit. So the bit I'm calling my favourite bit is the bit where I was most shocked and had the most emotion running through me at any one point. Now, this was something that, like Jez said, it was a closely guarded secret. Didn't see it coming. I avoid all theories and stuff anyway. When
I already know.
there was the fucking force pulling competition.
God
The first pulling competition between Ray and Ben, and then fucking force lightning comes out of her fingertips and takes down the transport. That I was just, and Holly was
Yeah.
next to me doing the same thing, hands behind our heads, like totally
we were
shocked.
both like fuck it. I was like, I almost screamed at that
I think
part.
it was great as well because it was a great moment
Yeah.
and a terrible
Yeah.
moment
You're
all at
like-
the same time. You're like, whoa, oh no!
It was a fucking roller coaster. Yeah.
Can I just because mine's not going to be it, so I won't get to talk about this like much more. But there's an interesting thing about the Chewie death, not death.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So do I have it? Oh, so there's a book. Chewie died in the previous expanded universe. He was the first of them all to go.
No.
Chewie died, and he famously died like it's fiction, but it made news. A bit like when Superman and Batman died, like every other decade or so. I'm really looking to see if I've got it, but he basically a moon falls on him.
Oh wow.
God.
Thanos threw a moon at him.
No, the Yuzang Vong threw a moon at him. Like there's a race of creatures called the Yuzang Vong, and they employ nature. They don't use any technology. Everything's like creatures, and like it's quite difficult and long to explain. But their equivalent of the Death Star is a magnetic creature that has like a gravitational pull. You can pull moons out of the sky to bring death and destruction to the planet.
Wow.
And Chewie gets the kids off the planet there because there's 3 kids at this point, and gets them off the planet. And in doing so, he like chucks the last one up onto the Falcon, and he remains, and like they fly away, and like. So I'd already been through this.
Yeah, you.
Like what everyone had at that point, I'd already been through this, and I very, very infamously in my head remember I was sat on the toilet when I read that page, and I was just like, I'm so glad I'm by myself. But could this be more awkward plot? Like I was like devastated. I was absolutely devastated. So when that happened, it was like a really weird revisiting of those emotions. But
And the acting was so incredible because I truly, like, I know, like, maybe everyone was like, nah, he's not dead. But I truly thought he was,
Yep.
just because of the acting, the way they were, like, screaming. I was like, oh my God, I just watched Chewbacca die.
In that moment, I believe we lost Chewie, and our current favourite protagonist was super evil and dark side.
And only now knowing that it was a fake out death, and having watched it the second time, you can then see that there were 2 transports.
Yeah, I didn't see the second one.
But there's no way you would have caught it the first time
No,
round. There's no way at all.
It's
And
so-
I too was like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
can't do Chewie like that. Like, but it did make me sit up in my chair like,
Yeah.
and if a movie can do that, then that's good.
Achieved something.
My problem was that I was like, there is absolutely no way they've done this.
Yes.
And so my brain went as hard as it possibly could into quick detective mode, and then remembered the scene from the trailer where him and Lando were screaming through the Millennium Falcon, and Lando's like, ah, ha, ha.
'cause my
And I was like, wait, that scene hasn't been yet. He's not dead.
That's what I was trying to justify. I was processing, so I was like, no, I've seen him in the trailer running with a gun.
But you have to be careful with that, because quite often there are scenes that they put into trailers that never make it into the
and then I
films.
thought, no way, they've made a bunch of false scenes and then killed him off early. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure me and Holly were just in a raw state of emotion. We weren't thinking straight
I
at
think
all.
because I looked down the row afterwards and everyone else was just like sat there, and me and Luke were literally like,
yeah, I
head
watched
in
Luke
hands.
physically flinch. He was like, you obviously can't see that on a podcast, but his arms went in the air, and he was like,
just on your knees.
There was a really weird thing about watching it the second time, was that in the first time, the moment between death and revelation of not death seemed like an age. In the second time, it's not much
nothing.
more than about a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
It's
it
like
seemed
half a
really
scene.
quick because I've only seen it once, but it seemed too quick. Even when I was watching it the first time, that they did the he's okay.
Well, I said to you, didn't I,
Should
that
have
there was a
played it.
guy that got up and I thought he'd stormed out, like in our
Magic.
show.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying,
he obviously went, well, fuck it, I'm going to the toilet. And then in that time, he was alive again. And I heard his mate go, Chewie's not dead, mate.
Yeah, because I've seen, and I don't want to go too far into like what the internet thinks of Star Wars, but I seen someone said they'd gone for a pee, they came back and they're like, oh, did I miss anything? And they're like, yeah, Chewie died, but then he wasn't dead. so imagine missing the whole scene.
But that's such an important part of Rey's character in that one scene.
And it's
Yeah.
referenced like quite strongly as well, because later on Kylo Ren says, I wanted to push you to show you where your darkness lies. So like, what did they think you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Jed?
Ooh, right. This is difficult because I'm just as we've been talking and I've been trying to talk and think. I'm like,
No, I've got mine. So God damn it, you better not. Having a game.
I don't think
So many good scenes.
I don't think they'd be similar. I really enjoyed a lot of it, and it's difficult because going back to previous podcasts where I've said, oh, I really enjoy Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I would always pull out 2 points, whether it was the stuff going on Jabba's sail barge where Luke does the flip off of the ramp and then starts whooping ass,
Yeah.
or Endor with the speeder bikes and all that. That's always my two favourite parts of that. But I'm struggling a little bit to actually pull out a moment that I would say this is my favourite, and I'm not sure if that's telling of how much happened in the movie. But I think my favourite part, although I know that as soon as I say this, we're probably going to get like 3, possibly 4 audible, you son of a bitch, I was mine, was Ben Solo when he captures the little lightsaber and he's like, what up?
Oh yeah.
And just the little split seconds of him, like him and Rey and working together.
So
And,
good.
Yeah, that was good. And because a couple bits happened in there when it then cut to Rey, because then she's got Leia's saber. Some stuff that I haven't seen before, although it might have happened. The Emperor's guards, or his new generation of them, were trying, and she was doing things where she was using the Force to grab their bullets and then project them in a different direction at someone else. And I was like, man, this is cool. So yeah, I think I really enjoy. If I had to pick, although it might change, I'm going to pick that at the moment.
Yeah.
Just so it's not the same as the Chewie fake out death.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the little climax of the Rey and Ben Solo taking on the Emperor.
That's good.
I think all those scenes with Rey and Kylo were great.
Yeah,
in the film. They
very
were really strong.
very
Yeah.
human. Like
Yeah.
Adam Driver is an incredible actor as
He
well.
was great. He's
Yeah.
been great throughout all of them, really.
Yeah, he's just like incredibly like this the one like when he after she force heals him and he's just sat there, like all the emotion is just on his face and like he doesn't say a single word,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah, and plus it's like this is again we've pretty much skipped right to the end and been like that's the biggest spoiler alert anyway. But what you cannot I'm not going to be able to put it into words correctly right now, but you can't put real life behavior or consequences or judgment onto what Star Wars characters do, because within a split second of Return of the Jedi, when Anakin appears as the Force Sparkly Goey Ghost, everyone forgives him.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, he's
Even
the
though he
most
killed
evil man in the
kids.
galaxy. And so we all know what Kylo Ren had done, but it's just like him turning good. I don't think I could have ever really forgiven him for killing his dad.
Yeah.
But you do, don't you? Because it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
Exactly. Well said.
I think, though, I'm going to do some more delving. I think when you look through it, he didn't do as much as you think he did.
Yes.
That obviously he killed Han Solo.
Yeah.
Oh, and they killed.
But that might have
he
been-
would have killed load of the Jedi's with the Knights of Ren
Well.
at Luke's camp.
Wow.
Potentially.
Okay, so that's
Way
I won't get into it too much because this could end up as a spoiler for something that not a lot of people will have read yet.
Okay.
But there's a potential that he might not have.
Oh.
Oh, what, he was just there.
Yeah.
You see the Force back. That might not necessarily have happened, but so we don't know yet, but he might have done. But as it stands, like, you think when you see the visions of the Jedi Academy burning, it looks like from the first issue of this comic that's just come out called Kylo Ren. Oh,
It's just called Kylo Ren, eh?
Journey to Kylo Ren
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, I
Rise
can't
of Kylo Ren.
Rise of Kylo Ren, that's it, yeah. So it looks very much like he's trying not to do anything wrong after he flees what happens with Luke.
Okay.
A bit like Finn with his blaster
Yeah.
as a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go too far because I think that's probably going past halfway of the comic, which isn't fair to anyone who hasn't read it yet. But we don't know yet what happens. So I'm assuming in this miniseries it will probably display whether he comes back with the Knights of Ren and he actually does do it, but he certainly doesn't at the very beginning. That's for sure.
Interesting.
He hasn't killed any young.
And there's also a theory that in the Force back, where you see him stab through the person, there was a theory originally that person was going, because if you this is going to step on one of my own facts. I'll come back to it later on.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you know the bit where he stabs through someone.
Yeah.
You assume that's a Jedi that he's just done.
Yes.
But there's only an assumption and no fact. So I'll come back to it. He obviously didn't stop the Knights of Ren. If he didn't kill anyone, he didn't stop them. So
Yeah. Okay. All right then. I accept that.
Craig?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go for it, and it's to do with the previous film, so 8, which was The Last Jedi. That's why it's my favourite bit in this film. I didn't particularly like Luke in The Last Jedi as a character.
this is why we didn't invite him on. The
I didn't like how much of a curmudgeon he had become. He redeemed himself towards the end of the film, which was great, but didn't like his character to start with. When Rey, and now in this film, it's when Rey has crashed Kylo's ship, where she's gone back to what's it called, the island?
Act 2.
Act 2. So she's gone back to Act 2, and then she tosses the lightsaber into the fire, and then Luke's Force ghost catches it and goes, "That's no way to treat
Jedi's
weapon." After the initial him tossing the weapon over his shoulder and dismissing it, showing complete disrespect to it, he kind of redeemed himself.
Turns to the camera and winks at Ryan Johnson.
It's like that's not what you do, and you're like, yeah, you know what? That's not what you do.
But
And
that's the thing. Like, so people have read it that way, and like a lot of the people that feel the same way as you do have read it that way. The chances are that it's not written that way. The chances are it's written at himself as a character.
He's being sarcastic.
He's realised.
Yes.
Yeah. But like people are like, hooray! That's at Ryan Johnson and all of you fucking soy boys.
He's realised himself that how he was.
Yeah.
You can see the whole thing was how I was before. I shouldn't have been like that. This is how I should have been.
Did you just say soy boys?
Do you not know what a soy boy is?
You've not heard that term.
What is a soy boy?
You have not been underneath the proverbial sheets of the internet, have you?
It's a far right term for like what they call like left wing guys, because they think that soy makes you feminine because they have like a type of estrogen in it, but it's like plant estrogen, so it does not do anything
Like
to
soy
like
sauce.
No,
yeah, but like
soy
any
milk is-
like
Oh.
soy, like soy products.
Soy. Soylent Green.
But so
People.
yeah, so
So
they
I thought you
call-
said soy sauce, and I was soy, like as in soy sauce boys.
soy sauce.
I was, that's very
No.
specific.
It's a good name for a band. Write that down.
It's basically like their way of being like, oh, you're a little girl, aren't you? Or like, but
the
it
It's
doesn't
internet.
mean
it's like
anything.
The internet.
it's used very much in conjunction with Snowflake.
yeah,
The
White
internet.
Knight.
The internet, man.
Yeah.
So,
evil
wait a
place.
minute. Am I a snowflake or am I not a snowflake?
No, you're neither.
I'm neither.
I don't, well, you can be
I'm a
whatever you want.
boomer.
You can be whatever you want. You can be whatever you want to be, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
I'm not fucking boomer.
You'd be a fan that's not a fan.
Okay.
Everyone was kind of waiting for a sparkly, glowy Jedi Force Ghost to show up, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
And the
good.
fact that as a Force Ghost, you can raise the X-wing
Yeah.
power as well.
Yeah.
That
But I
was
mean,
quite
Yoda set the tree on fire, so
With
Yeah.
lightning.
with lightning.
Yeah.
I know, but I like that. It was like, oh yeah, cool. 'Cause
Powerful from
You
beyond
only
the
get
grave.
a glimpse of the X-wing, don't you? In
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, don't
Yeah,
you? You can see it. It's there.
there's this is one thing that I really just like. What you know that everyone's going to pull everything to pieces in this film. You have to be like forensic in your writing, directing, cinematography, and everything. People have fucking called him out on that one. So she raises it up, flies away on it. There was only 3 S-foils on it, and it was in the water. He used one as a door. It's what Chewie rips off.
Oh,
Yeah, when Chewie barges in the door and he goes, "What, Chewie?"
Yeah.
And it like bangs against the back of his little cave.
That's one of the wings.
Yeah.
And so like not only are like people like Ray, you reversed all the Rian Johnson stuff, but like you also just continuity that like fucking yeeted that out the window as well.
See, I didn't
But like,
know that.
but then
I had no
people have
idea.
been like, well, there is not a huge amount of temporal. You don't know how long it's been. She might have just. She was a scavenger. She knows how to
Yeah.
put and take off and
Yeah.
put back an X-wing. She might have just put it back on.
Yeah.
They only had 16 hours from the very start.
But as quick as you're watching Star Wars, and this is one of the most hard to wrap your head around things with Empire Strikes Back, is like the stuff isn't happening in the time that you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
Like apparently they're there like days or weeks or months or whatever. But and let's just headcanon between the last movie, Luke maybe sent those little like Act 2 nuns. He was like, right, take that door, go under the water,
Later on, I'm going to do a real sick thing. I'm going to.
attach the door, attach it under the water. Don't bring it out. Just leave it under
It'd be
there.
great if it was out of the water. He's like, no, go back. You haven't been
Back
here
here,
yet.
put it back in. So headcanon, we fixed it. We
Nice. Good retcon, guys.
But when we were watching Force Awakens the other day, I was like, oh god, why did I see that? Like, so the stupidness anyway. I've said this from the beginning of being able to see the bolts flying through the sky from Maz's castle to another solar system.
Oh yeah,
Must have been
that's
clear sky that day.
ridiculous.
And they're massive as well. Like
Yeah,
in
like
another
big
solar
old
system.
red dots.
The same bolts that they're watching go across their sky that Kylo Ren watches go past the front of his
Shit.
Yeah.
his Star Destroyer, which I assumed was in orbit of Starkiller Base. Then 20 minutes later, not even that, those go past, they're all like that. Then they land, and he lands near Maz's castle.
Yeah.
He does.
So I kind of changed my mind, and maybe I was like, well, maybe the Star Destroyer was in orbit, and he's just watching that go. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But
Yeah.
maybe it was. So we just throw
Yeah,
continuity
we
out the window. It's fine.
That's Star
We'll
Wars.
let it
I'm
go.
fine.
That's
Everything's fine.
That's Star Wars in a nutshell.
How are you?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had a mouthful of drink. Holly.
So many. I find it really like when you first went, I was like, oh god, and now I'm like, there's that one, and there's that one, and there's that one. I really enjoyed all of the scenes on Exegol. Like I love the Jedi, and like the Jedi are my favorite, and I've never been one of these like, oh, I love the dark side sort of thing, but I do find the visuals more interesting for like the Sith, and really love the soundtrack for it, and the big statues, and it looked very like gothic, which was totally my thing. But yeah, that, and probably just the whole like end scene of Rey versus Palpatine with the Force lightning, and he's like, I am all the Sith, and then she's like, and I'm all the Jedi.
I am the
Thought
Senate.
she was going to say Iron Man. And I am
What, she just says I am.
Iron Man.
Oh,
But yeah, all that one bit was very like
yeah,
it
and
was
that was
so
quite cool
cheesy,
because it had
but
like the
so
little
good.
the hooded Siths, whether they were supposed to be like just a imaginary or
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah,
there,
I
where-
was really. Yeah.
I thought I saw them as like I thought they were like.
Do you reckon it was a
Sith-
representation of all the previous
Yeah,
Sith?
I thought they were
Is
like
that-
the Sith ghosts.
That's what I
almost.
kind of thought.
This
yeah.
this is what I wanted the visual dictionary for. Because if it wasn't in the visual dictionary, then I could hold it to account. Like, but that's the kind of thing you want the visual dictionary to be able to go.
Yeah.
Who were the dudes on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because at the
Icicle.
moment, I'm just in.
Icicle.
I guess, like same as you just said, just taking the impression that Emperor had just made them.
Yeah,
like,
cloned them. Yeah.
like made them up to be in a vision of it. You know,
Yeah.
they weren't.
They weren't real. Yeah, they
I
weren't
don't-
physically there.
I don't know if he was. If
They're all Snopes.
maybe they're all little.
Or little Snopes with their
Tank
Baby
heads.
Snopes.
Whether they're supposed to be his following from that underground planet, because
cult.
that earlier in the film another guy's, oh, these people sound like a cult.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's who that. But I don't know. Like you said, we kind of need an answer on
Yeah,
it, don't we?
It was just a faceless horde, wasn't
Yeah.
it? It was
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
intimidating. It was because it was so many of them as well.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, I particularly did enjoy that, and it just they really hit it on like. Then that's why I wish we got to see more Jedi stuff, because I really love like the history and the lore of like Star Wars. So I wanted to see more of the Jedi, but the Sith stuff was really spot on.
I mean, the good thing is you do have 6 seasons and the 7th one coming of the Clone Wars, which is a lot of Jedi
Okay.
and lore.
Yeah.
And if you watch that, there's a fairly decent amount of service. Yeah, a fairly decent amount of service paid to some of that lore.
Okay.
So it's there. It's there and ready
you just
to go.
have to seek it out.
Yeah, I mean, just on the top shelf downstairs.
Don't know if I could.
Mark.
Well, mine is mine. One of my favorite moments is really small, but it lies in the big scene that actually. I was trying to think what got me excited or like emotional the most, like, and not necessarily like upset emotional. Like I probably sat at home by myself with not like a whole 200 people sat behind me, probably would have like either stood up or fist pumped. Was the moment where like Poe's lost his will to live in the X-wing, and he's like, you know, we're alone, like there's no one left, and then it comes over the comments like not so fast, Junior, and like Lando's coming in, and then it pans out and the shot is so wide. We'd seen some of it in the trailer. There's a smaller shot where you can see some ships, but not the whole sea. So in the trailer they showed the Sith fleet. So you saw the Sith fleet and the extent of it. Then they showed a smaller shot of them when the Falcon drops into the shot, and there's all the ships, and you're like, how are those many ships going to fight that many ships? Now you see that widescreen shot, and there's like
So
literally
many.
thousands and thousands of ships.
And do you know what that reminded me of? And I don't know whether J.J. Abrams did this on purpose as a callback to real history. When he's like, when they're like, he's like, who is this? And the guy's like, well, they're just people. It really reminds me of, you know, was it World War II?
Oh,
where all
Dunkirk.
where all the little boats go out.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I was like, oh my god, this is like, I don't know if he like paralleled that from real life.
Whether
but-
he did or not, if you're able to take a connection from that and relate it to something like that, then
But that also made it so emotional.
Yeah, no, definitely, because there's even a scene in Dunkirk, the Nolan film, where it looked like they panned out and you can just see the extent of how many people were coming across. But there's the moment that follows this. But the thing about that, from a musical standpoint, is I think it's the first time that the opening overture is played in the actual film. Because it was really odd to me, having listened to the soundtrack like countless times, to hear that with the film actually going on and not the opening crawl. And I got it the second time when I heard it as well. So I was like, yeah, this bit of music has not been in the film, at least in the way that it was presented. It felt like more like the opening music again, because the notes are played, but not the way that it's played in the opening with the fanfare.
Oh.
but that it contains my favourite bit, which is when Zori Bliss flies in and Babu Frick goes, "Way!"
I fucking love Babu Frick. He was so cute.
That's some good merchandising.
Babu
there. I want that.
Yeah.
The Babu Frick is like really odd though, because at the beginning he's like babbling away in a different language. Then all of a sudden he's just English, or can speak English, but like not particularly
And
well.
Babu Frick is better than Baby Yoda, and obviously you're not allowed to like both. Sorry, it's the
What's
internet.
Baby Yoda?
So you can only choose. But
What's Baby Yoda?
I don't know what baby. I haven't. I
Oh,
don't
no
know.
Sam on this
affiliation.
Baby Yoda
So
is
I
at all.
just got back from America. I was there.
Okay.
I managed to get onto Disney
on,
Plus
on your cousin's TV.
Yeah, on my cousin's
Oh.
TV
Yeah.
and watched a little episode. But now I've come back, I got to wait till March.
Or maybe the meme you could show us later. that might
Maybe,
explain it.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you guys, you just got to wait till March. But
Oh,
it's-
well, I'm going to do that because I'm a law-abiding citizen.
No.
So
trying to insinuate. I think they're all. I think all of them are good choices from all of us. Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably some of the key moments. But there's so much happens. So
Yeah.
I was also gonna say like the small scene with the flashback to Luke and Leia, and Luke training Leia in the ways of the Force.
I really like that, except Leia's head is floaty,
Yeah,
and
was
it
a bit-
really took me out.
It was a bit, it was.
His was
quite-
fucking
his was
amazing,
spot on, but
her
hers
head was
floating
floaty.
about.
Yeah.
And they were very clever in they were like, right, this is going to be a bit tricky to pull off. Maybe if they got blast shield helmets on, so we just see the very front of their face. Like they gave themselves less work to do. I understand why.
Yeah.
Because it would have been more difficult to do a
It's
full on.
so difficult. It's like they've got to use all existing footage where even if she's facing the right direction, the lighting's wrong, the costume's wrong, the jewellery's wrong. There's like so many things they'd have to edit to make it right.
Yeah.
I don't. Just as a disclaimer, I don't really want to get too much into the Leia stuff. Mainly because I've got some issues with it that I don't want to make it sound like it's too negative.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just something that took me out of the picture a little bit.
I've discussed this point prior to. Like, we're discussing it on here, but I think that because everyone knows that Carrie Fisher died and everyone knows it was reused footage, your mind's already going,
Yeah.
have they done this? How did they edit that shot in? And you're already kind of shakily disconnecting from it a little
Yeah.
bit. But I think it was incredibly.
It was ridiculously well done, and
really well done.
the send off scene was probably the most note perfect scene they could ever possibly have done. Like incredible.
And just like when Ben goes and then she finally goes, and you just like it feels like you get that like clench in your gut where you're just like, oh, that's
The
so
send off
sad.
bit. Do you think that it was great to see Han Solo? Why he was there, I'm not sure, because he wasn't a Force.
It's a memory.
It's
a memory.
It's in his head.
But what I'm wondering was their original plan to have Carrie
Yeah,
I
think it almost
have
face
Leia
face to face with Ben.
do what Luke did, the Force projection. She knows it's going to kill her, but she's going to sacrifice herself to be there in that moment then with Ben.
No, I honestly think the whole film's completely different because she died.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I think
She
that,
was supposed to
I'm
be
wondering
like the
if they
main
were like,
character,
and they
basically.
brought in
She would have-
Han
I-
to replace her
I-
for that.
yeah.
I predict she
scene.
probably would have come physically face to face with
Yeah,
Ben.
this
Yeah.
one.
See, I think it was going to be the Force projection. It was like she's prepping to
To
you
do
know,
that.
because she knows what she's going to do, and
Maybe.
she knows it's going to kill her, but she's going to go there. This is the moment that she's going to speak to him. And
Yeah, it is the
Yeah.
intro. It is the. It will be the forever unanswered question of
Yeah.
like the what if, won't it?
Maybe
Yeah.
one day we'll
Yeah.
get a script with like how it was supposed to go.
Maybe of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
she just says his name, doesn't she? She distracts him for
Yeah.
that moment. doesn't
Yeah,
she,
and
by
I
saying
think
his
if they
name.
wouldn't have got Harrison Ford back if Carrie Fisher was there. I like to think that anyway. She
Yeah.
would have fit that role just as well as Harrison Ford, but it would have been a bit more rounded with her talking Ben back and
Yeah, he
And
probably did it for her. He was like, "Fuck it, I'll just go back and do
Yeah.
it just because Carrie's not here."
while we're on it, because we try and keep it as tidy as we can. Talking about Han Solo, that was one bit where I was like, "Holy shit,
I
they
was
got
not
Harrison Ford!"
yeah.
what? Hey!
Yeah, he didn't bother cutting his hair or shaving his beard because he was like, well, whatever. But
He didn't want to take and went again. So.
he's like, I'm not cutting my hair back to how it was. You can have me how I am.
Yeah, I've aged in his memory. It's fine. No, I still really like that bit.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
so.
great bit.
It was such
you
a
know.
surprise. I was not when you hear like the first like K Kid, and I was like, hang on a second.
It's only because completely removed from Han Solo as a character, Harrison Ford as a person who was almost so adamant.
Yeah.
But people were like, no chance.
Yeah,
No
it's
chance.
not happening.
I thought maybe they'll use some old footage and make him as some sort of Jedi Force ghost somehow at the end. I didn't think he'd have a completely new filmed scene. So I was like, holy shit, they've got Harrison Ford back. But like you said, possibly, or you might have said it, Luke, they because of how it completely changed after Carrie Fisher died, he was probably more inclined to be like, yeah, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's it. That's all our favourite bits. So next up I have, now it's called Things You Might Have Missed.
Oh.
Now there'll be things in there that you'll have heard me talk about already, Holly.
Yeah, probably.
Things that you've probably already looked up, Jed. So this is all for the listeners and Luke and Craig.
Yeah.
Although I did rant about one to Craig last night. So
because we've only seen it the once, myself and Luke. So
yeah. But there are genuinely things you might have missed twice.
Number one, Han Solo was in it.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Number two, Carrie Fisher actually died. She wasn't there.
Yeah, that was old footage. Did you know? Oh, what? Hey, you've already blown two minds. Right.
Calm down, Jen.
So the first one actually kind of isn't what you would have missed, but I've shoehorned it in there so we can talk about it. It's to do with the Crawl. So, I've got the Crawl here in front of me. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine, which I will stop there because it's all about that. Which seems strange because you never hear it. And it's like, that seems like a key plot point. What the galaxy heard. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is, we have heard it, but you wouldn't have done. Us Fortnite players heard it because they broadcast it in the Fortnite event, which was the Saturday before the release.
What?
Yep. So they were having an event. They've got this cool thing in Fortnite where they'll gather people together. They had a marshmallow concert. They had I forget what the other one was.
Fuck is a marshmallow concert?
Yeah, wait, I don't care about the Star Wars.
Marshmallow's like
the DJ.
He's like Skrillex for now.
Yeah.
And he wears a bucket on his head with a smiley face on.
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like a
of course he is.
marshmallow.
He's like scuffed dead mouse.
Okay.
Scuffed
Oh,
dead.
you kids.
He's a scuffed
Okay,
dead
boomer.
mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, boomer.
The mouse is scuffed on his helmet.
He's a scuffed dead mouse.
Boomer over it, I don't understand.
Oh.
Like the dead mouse that you scuffed, but you killed it. You killed the mouse.
I killed the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse that you killed outside the Penn Mill.
Outside the train station where you
I
killed
did
the mouse.
not kill that mouse.
Right,
It was
anyway.
already dead.
Anyway, so
You know, make me
Yeah,
sound
mouse
so
in the
bad.
family.
So you have in Fortnite they have events where you can go in and then they broadcast something. There's no killing, there's no shooting. Well, there is to start off with because it's just to keep people interested. But then they were going to show a clip. In that in game the Falcon flew in and had a fight with some TIE fighters, then landed, and then J.J. Abrams came out of the Falcon and did a talk to the people that were watching, the millions and millions, with some other people. And then at the end, the Falcon flew off, and then a broadcast came over, and the broadcast said, I'm not going to do it in his voice, "At last the work of generations is complete, the great error is corrected, the day of victory is at hand, the day of revenge, the day of the Sith." And that was the broadcast that's in the Crawl. So yeah,
That's so cool.
in Fortnite. Yeah, it was a cool event anyway because they ended it. When it ended, the last thing you had to do was choose which lightsaber you would have if you were a Jedi, and then everyone was like, "Oh, ran to the different ones." And then a box appeared after the Falcon had gone, and everyone ran to the box, and lightsabers came out, and everyone just had a 50-on-50 lightsaber battle.
Wow.
And then they put lightsabers into the game as well, which was massively OP but fun. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, it's not something you'd miss, but it's something you might have missed culturally. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's a fun little.
totally.
It's something that I thought I had missed in the previous
it's a
films. I was
fun
like,
little
did I
add-on.
miss something
And
somewhere?
because without adding it on and without being like, hold on, that was even not even part of the film. It was quite a jump for that to be the first thing in the opening crawl, because it does almost make you be like, what the heck? Did I miss a whole movie?
Yeah.
Like,
When that
did
came
that
up,
happen?
I was like, oh my god, we're getting straight into it.
Yeah.
It's also a callback to Revenge of the Sith, because the dead speak ! In Revenge of the Sith. The first one was oh shit, what was it? It's like one word of an exclamation mark at the beginning of the
Oh
Of the
yeah.
Crawl.
it's war, innit?
war.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is I've just got one word written down: Mustafar.
Ooh.
The first planet you see is freaking Mustafa.
What?
Yeah, the one Kylo Ren is like.
And the people that he's fighting, you're like, it's kind of looks like he's just genociding a planet. They're Darth Vader cultists. So that means now what I can do is I can now go back and talk about the thing from Force Awakens. So the guy that he puts his lightsaber through is wearing a helmet that's very similar to these Darth Vader cultists on that planet. So that force back didn't actually just go backwards, it might have gone forwards as well. So it could have been a flash forward to him.
Yeah, because if you think about it, now that we all discuss it, and probably if you think about it even more, he'd be like, wait a minute, that makes 0 sense anyway. If he...
but he had troopers with him.
Now, but hold on a second. I'm guessing, unless I'm wrong, we're presuming the night that Luke pulled his lightsaber out, and then he pulled down the wall on him, that he raged that night. He wouldn't have a red lightsaber, would he?
No, exactly.
No, exactly.
He would have had his blue one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he was wearing white robes.
Yeah.
He was wearing Jedi robes.
He wouldn't have had a Kylo Ren mask or anything. But then again, Star Wars timeline's a bit all over the place, so it's like how much time passed between...
But then that is true. Like, that should be a rational thought. If you're watching that movie, you would think, well, if he was a Jedi, he wouldn't have the mask. He wouldn't have the outfit the very snazzy outfit that he's wearing now. Like, he'd just be a little shitty Padawan. Like, he wouldn't be like this.
It makes it interesting to like the things that it has almost in a way, whether purposefully or not, made you go, oh yeah, but that film now means this.
Yeah.
I think now that the film's come out, I'm guessing no one has so far, but the rewatch of this trilogy, I think, is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really clever if that's how they've done that.
But that scene, that fact that's on Mustafa is... I didn't notice. That's really fucking cool.
Because when it came up on the screen, I was like, "That's Mustafa," and then it went down and there was trees and stuff. I was like, "It's not Mustafa." Turns out, Mustafa's healed in the last 40 years.
He's gone,
and that's why it looked different.
And because as well, it'd be because that whole beginning's really quick, and it's like bum 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 bum. There's a lot going on, so. It would have been maybe nice to slow it down a little bit and show that him going into the castle.
Even if you saw it in the background.
That would have given it. But
I can't help but think there has to be a deleted scene there. There has to be.
I'm hoping so.
I'm
You went
really
back to where Anakin went full dark side. That place, like, canonically must be like a massive aura of dark side force there, and for Kylo to be there, he is fully embedded in the dark side right at the start of the film. They get that across straight away, so his journey towards the end of the film actually makes it even more impressive.
And he did a little moonwalk kill. Did you see that where he's like
he did. If you look back across the trilogy, he did an unnatural amount of sliding. Ben Solo likes to slide.
He's got Heelys.
Right?
He's a slider. He's also a swinger.
He's if he was in Fight Club, he'd have the same spirit animal as Tyler Durden's, like whatever the other guy's name is. Like, you know, when he sees the penguin and it goes slide, and then just like goes down through the eyes. But yeah, I noticed it. I don't know where I noticed it first, but he does it on Crate as well. He slides to a stop.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and I think he slides at least 2 or 3 times in this film.
There's a slide in The Force Awakens where he like comes around a corner, and I think he like
that's
slides
in the
oversteer.
I saw a gif of that.
I think maybe again headcanon. That has to be a callback to a Jedi ability that we only ever saw once, and then never again. In The Phantom Menace, when the destroyers come to take out Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan at the very beginning, and he's like, "Sir, destroyers!" And then they go,
Hang on. That's the only we got one. One time. That's it.
Do you want to lead with that next time?
super speed.
Can't do that again.
Too strong.
Turns into Sonic.
Oh God.
Right, okay, so the next one is, I haven't read this anywhere. It's just something I noticed the first time I saw it, and I confirmed it a second time. From the moment Han departs, Ben doesn't say a single line of dialogue for the whole rest of the film.
Wait a second.
The acting
because
power.
I theorized it, but then I kind of I convinced myself out of it, thinking that he says something to Rey at the end, and then I watched it again. I was like, nope, he does not say a single line of dialogue until for the rest of the film, from the moment Han leaves. And technically, he's not even talking to Han, so he doesn't actually say a line of dialogue, and since the fight.
Yeah.
Right, there's so long here because these are all really good facts.
Yeah.
Well, most of the ones are taken from articles. I'll give like the credit where credit due. I don't know which ones, but like this is just one that I noticed with. I think I even said it when we got home.
Yeah, you did.
And then I checked it on the Friday, and I was like, yeah, there is. He finishes with Han. He flies down. He fights the Knights of Ren, and then he comes in and he stands with her.
Yeah.
And then they fight. Then she dies. He gets her back. They look at each other. They kiss. Spoiler alerts, everyone. Come on. And then he dies, and there's not a line of word. Like he smiles, and that's where I thought there's dialogue, but it wasn't. He smiles.
Wow.
It's all on the face, and there's
Powerful.
a really
He's fucking good, isn't he?
there's an important thing about it as well. That's I just don't know how they do it, because I checked again on the second one. It's not makeup. He looks so much younger when he's good, but like it's all facial stuff.
Yeah.
There's this
Just
thing.
the way
There's
he
this way that he carries
carries
his mouth.
Yeah,
like
his face almost looked completely different.
Yeah.
Can I pull in, and can I intersect with another fact? And if it is on your still to come on your list, I apologise. When Rey healed his lightsaber wound, she healed his scar and took his face back to normal.
Oh yes,
that makes sense. I was looking for
I didn't notice that.
I was looking for cosplay ideas, and there's cams. So I just typed Ben Solo. I think I just typed Ben Solo, and someone had cammed a picture of him, because I was looking at like the cuts and stuff he has from the fight with the Knights of Ren, and I was like, wait, where the fuck is his scar? Like, am I missing something? So that makes sense.
And again, this isn't written or said out loud, but that force ability that she then used in that instance was not necessarily just healing, but apparently theorized, or just fan theorized, she removed any of the damage that she'd ever done to him. So that's what like completely healed him up, completely like healed up his little hole.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the second time that, and I was like, oh yeah, she does.
That's
so
clever.
it's like, and a lot of this stuff, I think there'll be stuff found for probably years that people will be like, oh yeah, I never even noticed that either.
Yeah.
But that would make sense as to why he looked.
But you would know. I reckon you would notice it. But then, like you said, it's in a subtle way.
subtle way.
He just looks different.
He just
you
looks
don't
different.
realise why he looks different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Because at that moment as well, you're already focusing on the fact he's like, oh my god, he's good, and he's taken off the Kylo Ren outfit, and like
the little shrug he does is still
but
my favourite.
Between seeing Han and then going to save Rey, he must have put a bit head and shoulders in his head, didn't he? Because that was like volume.
Oh,
it's sea salt.
He was
sea salt.
Oh, yeah,
you can get dry shampoo. It's in a can.
It's sea salt. No, it's all about sea salt. You buy products with sea salt.
he was just like,
he was
yeah,
prepping.
man.
He knew he was going to get that kiss. He was like, I've got to look.
Look,
Beachy
the
waves.
best. Yeah, but
soft clothing.
That's it is quick tic tac in the mouth.
Smint.
I was going to say spin then.
Yeah, no, again, massive, and even I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but talking about that specifically, that little bit from Ben or Kylo Ren towards the end of the film, massive props to Adam Driver, like
Yeah.
just
He's an
acting
incredible
with a
actor.
smile, just a smile.
Yeah.
Big time.
Incredible guy.
So the next one I've just written Wedge Antilles, because some people might have not
Yes.
noticed, but Wedge, the only surviving pilot from the Battle of Yavin apart from Luke, he's in Empire and he's in Return of the Jedi, comes in.
So cute. Good.
Was he in the gunner's chair of the Falcon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah.
That's good shooting, Lando.
Yeah.
He's so polite,
Terrible.
isn't
He's
he?
a good actor.
Whatever
Dennis
he
Lawson's
says.
a good actor, but that was terrible acting. Like, they must have just gone like, right, Dennis Lawson, get
Just
in
say
there. Right?
something.
Good shot. And like the thing is, he had an American accent, so I'm not sure what happened there, because in the first film he couldn't do an American accent. He was still a young actor. He couldn't do an American accent, so they dubbed him. So it's not his voice in the first film. Then he managed to pull it off in the second and third. Then he went back to British again.
Well, everyone knows as you get older, you get more British.
And then you join the Empire, because all the Empire speak posh. I'm going to intersect with another fact. These are tag team facts.
I thought Mark was supposed to be giving the facts.
But he's just reminding me of stuff. In New Hope, you know when they're going over the Death Star plans, and he's like, the area is not much bigger than a Womp Rat.
Yes.
And Luke nudges this pilot, and he's like, it's okay, I used to shoot Womp Rats in my T-16 back home. And he's just talking like a black-haired generic pilot, right, who we never see again. That character is Wedge Antilles, but played by someone else. And he messed up his lines so much that he got the sack. but they didn't reshoot that scene. But that character is supposed to be Wedge.
So the guy that I sent you the picture of that looks like he could be Ben Solo's dad.
And then they just recast him completely. It's never mentioned.
I'd say poor guy, but he's in like the most iconic film of all time. So.
He didn't really lose out too much.
Also, in that scene, imagine being a veteran pilot being told by a farm boy about shooting.
Luke is a bit of a dick in that scene. It's like, all right, just keep it down.
I used to shoot giant dog rats.
I do that all the time.
Wind your neck in.
Yeah, because I also
Okay, boomer.
okay, Star Wars boomer. I also think as well, they must have just been desperate and handing out the pilot suits, because between them, this farm kid who showed up in his little white like smock is then given a pilot's outfit. He's just like running. The rest of them must be like, what the fuck? How many years?
He's like 13. He's fucking fresh faced little shithead. Like
Pilot on day one.
That's fresher.
There's
Stabbing.
a scene in a comic that's just come out where, funnily enough, Poe's parents. This is like a flashback to Empire. They're digging out Hoth base. Luke rescues him, and like they're like, "Wait, is this the kid that they made a commander after one battle?"
Oh, they
and
say something.
that's Poe's parents. Yeah.
Oh, they say something about it. There you go.
Yeah.
the spilling the tea. The tea is hot. The tea is hot.
Like the Baby Yoda, but he's got the cup on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who is this?
You keep bringing this
when
up.
I was in America,
Yoda's
my-
had a
Yoda's 900 years old.
when I was in America at my cousin's house, we watched 2 episodes, not in logical order, but those 2.
Just 2 random episodes.
My next fact was going to be about the yellow lightsaber, but it's really, really nerdy and deep dive.
Yeah, we love that shit.
Tell us. No, it's yellow.
It's yellow.
I thought it was orange.
Yeah, Keith's also colourblind. But it's to the extent that he didn't actually see that it was a different coloured lightsaber. But he also said like it's not like I didn't know a lightsaber was orange. I was like, it's yellow, and it's really yellow.
Yeah.
Because I know about the orange lightsaber, but I don't know about a yellow lightsaber.
Oh, but then here you go. Your fact is coming.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a breakdown of the lightsabers, because we talked about this previously on the last one, and I said that there were only 4 colours, but there is actually 5 because the reasons. So green is the most commonly chosen by the consulars. This is branches of the Jedi who focused on mental knowledge of the Force. Blue is the most often seen in the hands of the Guardians, who focus on learning combat and becoming warriors. Which is interesting because Luke chose green. He's not particularly mental, is he? Star Wars lore explains that the Sentinels seek... so the Sentinels are like the in-betweens. The Consulars and the Guardians.
Yeah.
Seek a balance between the Consulars and the Guardians, who also wish to educate themselves on other more practical aspects of life, such as tracking techniques and espionage. And the Temple Guards, who were considered... Sentinels, they had yellow lightsabers in the Clone Wars. But that's why I could discount them, because I never thought they were lightsabers. I always thought they were like blades, vibro blades. So yeah, you have branches of the Jedi, and then you have Samuel Jackson, who or Mace Windu, who has a purple lightsaber.
Demands purple.
I did find after we talked about it, there is a semi-canon theory about why he has a purple lightsaber, which I don't like, so I don't talk about it. But I will say it now. I found this in the crazy enough, in a 2-year-old video that breaks down almost exactly. Have I got it on here? I might have it on here. Why Rey was written, probably written already to be Palpatine. It's in her fighting stance, and then there's a breakdown of the fighting stance that Palpatine uses a very specific fighting stance that is designed to be adaptable to any other fighting stance. The only other person who uses that fighting stance is Mace Windu. And it draws on light side and dark side abilities, his fighting stance, which is why it's got
I'd read
a purple
that.
Yeah,
lightsaber. But
you did point that
like
out,
that.
Luke, didn't you?
I don't like that at all. I think it's bullshit, because it's not gonna. His fighting stance isn't going to affect what color his lightsaber goes, and to make it go red, which would make it go purple, he would have had to have corrupted it, which just makes it red anyway. So
That's a retcon fit. But I did notice the bit, when Rey first fights Kylo in Force Awakens, she uses that prodding motion, a prodding attack that we've only ever seen Palpatine use.
The old it's treason then.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't do the spiral corkscrew, but
She could have if she wanted.
I mean, like everyone knows that like fighting stance is genetic, so
It's in the balls. As one Twitter user.
that it's in there, and I think I'd be impressed if it wasn't for something else I'd read. I'd be impressed if he did put it in there, but she has no
Let me
idea who
believe
she
it, Mark.
is. She has no idea who she is. Why would she be like, my granddad? raise lightsaber above head. Stab, jab, Palpatine. Anyway. So that was a bit of a deep dive on the yellow lightsaber. So it just goes to enforce that she's the balance between things.
yeah.
But yeah, you also need to do a colour blindness check.
Yeah. Fine.
Well, yeah, yellow's close to orange.
Yellow is
I'd
close
say
to
it was
orange.
quite a pale yellow, though. I didn't. It wasn't like a dark urine yellow. It was
Oh, lovely.
Oh, I've just got a text message. An hour ago, I got a text message. But it says, "Yeah, it's yellow." Honestly, look right there. It says, "Yeah, it's yellow."
But it's orange. Okay.
I've got a picture
Because
but
orange lightsaber is a Force user that dabbles in the dark side.
this is a
That's
It's a grey Jedi.
there's a
Like,
picture.
is it? It's got a.
It's pretty
Say
yellow.
that's orange.
It's got a
Yeah,
hue on it.
it would be orange, but like also Ray's face is not that color.
Yeah.
No.
So
She's
that's
not.
it's a bad picture of a bad cam.
Yeah.
It's a bad picture of a bad video of a
Somebody camming
screen.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is yellow.
Um,
Have you seen that? They reckon it's made using her part of her staff as well. The hilt of the lightsaber.
Yeah.
I thought that was obvious.
Well,
I thought
It was
honestly, no,
implied, yeah.
this is why I'm confused by like that by when Keith asked about it. But then again, I've been in a place of work where we had they had posters for Force Awakens where each different person had their
Thing in
a
front
different
of
thing in front of their face, and she
Yeah.
had the staff. So I've had a close up picture of it in front of my eyes for like probably about 2 years. It was up on the wall.
yeah.
So
I didn't notice that at all.
yeah, the end of it's really distinctive. So yeah, when it was up on the screen,
And to be fair to you, Craig, you kind of are just like movie watcher, not watching every second of pre-footage of stuff
Yeah.
as much
Yeah.
as you just watch the movies in a way, don't you? So
Yeah.
you weren't like when the ships all came in from hyperspace. You weren't like I was like
which one's
scanning the whole screen trying to find out.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next fact: ships to the rescue. During the battle over Exegol, dozens of ships come to Poe's rescue. This is actually kind of one for maybe any like deep dive nerds that are listening, because I don't think most people are going to know. Like most of you aren't going to know these ships. There's an explanation for who's though. Some of the ships include the Ghost, which is from Star Wars Rebels, which is those characters up there's show. The Crucible, which I was like, this is fucking ace. That's Hondo Ohnaka's ship. He's a main character from Clone Wars, and he's also a character in Galaxy's Edge, the theme park. Hondo's actually there, but he's like mechanical. Shadowcaster, which is bounty hunter Ketsu Onyo. The Aravana, which is piloted by the ship that Han has with the
the old
Raftars
the
on.
one that swallows the
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. So that ship's there. That I'm not really sure how, because technically they just left that floating in space.
Yeah.
No pilots
That
in
guy,
it.
tell the Empire that Han Solo was aboard the Millennium Falcon. he obviously nicked it. He must have just gone and
Yeah.
been like, fuck it.
The Outrider, which I don't think is actually true. Probably a ship like the Outriders from I don't have the book anymore. The book between New Hope and Return of the Jedi. It's flown by a guy that's kind of like a budget Han Solo. And the Colossus is apparently there, which is from the Star Wars Resistance TV show.
Good, I didn't know any of those.
Those are really cool. That's like a real
Some
deep
deep
dive.
diving, that is.
It's really
Yeah.
deep
But
dive.
that's-
I can't wait to get the 4K. I'm going to be fucking scanning that bitch.
Having that wide of a shot with that many ships in, yes, that is for that reason.
Of course it is, yeah.
Full on Easter egg city.
Come up slowly from that one. You're gonna have the bends.
That's right, yeah.
Full on Easter egg city, that one.
Nitrous bubbles everywhere. Just,
I feel a bit sick, actually.
This one requires some visuals for you lot.
We like the
people at
vis-
home will just have to listen to
We'll
it.
describe the visuals if
Yeah.
we're audio descriptive in
Oh
a movie.
my god, is that
it's
a penis?
Oh my god, look at, he's so
I'm
erect.
now going to tell you every single voice that she hears
Yeah.
Nice.
and
yes.
what they say. So the first voice that she hears is try and do this while speaking into the
That was the
microphone.
voice.
First voice she hears is Obi-Wan Kenobi, both Owen McGruger,
Owen McGruger.
Yeah, he played him once.
both Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, and they say, "These are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them, Rey. Rise." Then
Beautiful.
Anakin
My boy.
Skywalker,
The lads.
he says, "Rey, bring back the balance, Rey, as I did." Well, they keep saying Rey. I might just cut the Reys out. Okay. Bring back the balance, as I did. The Force surrounds you. Let it lift you. Oh, God. Next up is Ahsoka. She says, Rey.
You have to cut that
I have
out.
to cut it out. Next up is so Ahsoka's from the Clone Wars, and she's also in Rebels.
Wait, no, she just said Ray.
She just said Rey. I'm sure that she says something else. I thought she said it guides you, but apparently that's someone else. I reckon they've got it wrong. But anyway, next up is Kanan Jarrus, who's from Rebels as well, and he says, "In the heart of a Jedi lies their strength," which is a big callback. Next up is Luminara Unduli, who she was in Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and is in Clone Wars as well.
And Sister Act.
And I'm going to quickly say a fact about this lady as well. In, I believe it's canon material, in comic material, she also knows the healing power.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she says, "The light, find the light." Then Qui-Gon Jinn,
Whey!
who says, "Every Jedi who ever lived." So this must have been Liam Neeson who actually cut this, because it's new dialogue. Every Jedi who ever lived in you. We stand behind you. Rey, rise. The Rey was quite important in that bit. Next one is Ayla Secura, who's from Revenge of the Sith. She's one of the people in Order.
She has the
66.
dramatic death.
Yeah.
And she's also got a main role in Clone Wars, and she says, "Let it guide you." Then
My boy.
Mr. Mace, Mr. Waste Window, who says, "Feel the Force flowing through you, Rey." And then Adi Gallia, who is in Phantom Menace as one of the council members and is also a main role in Clone Wars. She says, "Rise." And then Yoda, who says, "What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
I can't say it.
Nobody can see what you're laughing at."
My cousin showed me that picture.
He's been using some L'Oreal.
Yoda, who says, "Rise in the Force." And then Luke, who also thought it was as hilarious as you lot, says, "The Force will be with you always."
Oh, so fucking good, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, call back to earlier in the movie. That was like one of the best parts as well.
I think they're missing. I've copied this off an article. I think they're missing something again.
Yeah, I don't
so I'm
think
pretty sure
anyone's-
he says, "The Force will be with you," and then Leia says, "Always."
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
you're
Leia
right,
does. Yeah. I don't think anyone's been able to fully watch it enough times until it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever to properly break that down. But that for somebody to be able to get that many voices so far, including some of those
Some of the
animated
new ones,
characters,
yeah.
is really good.
Well, it's not. I mean, I think they've strung it together, but in the credits it lists them.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does.
Because when we were
I
sat,
saw
we were
Hayden
sat
Christensen's
there,
name. Yeah, I
and
remember seeing that.
There was like a list, and because I remember sitting there, I was going, "Ayla Secura, what the hell?" But I think from this article, it makes sense. They got Jedis that they could get voice actors in for. So these people have all been in Clone Wars, so they could easily
Yes,
get the
true.
voice actors in. So
Yeah.
And well, it'll be interesting if you have or haven't watched Rebels, but all of those Jedi are dead except for, is Ahsoka dead or alive? Because last we saw her, she was alive.
I saw something that said she would be 71, so it's not too much of a stretch.
That she'd-
She'd be pretty old.
Yeah, she might have just faded.
I think she dies in the last series of. Is there another series? There's got to be another series of Rebels.
Yeah, I think somebody said it was going to be called Rebels Reborn. Or
I think she's
something.
going to die in that series, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
So that's that little segment. The next one, I can do if anyone has any, but it was going to be a hell of a lot easier if I had the visual dictionary, which was called plot questions. So if anyone has any questions that they think I might be able to answer off the top of my head, this is what it's for.
Oh, okay.
But also, I needed the visual dictionary to really try and go like, yeah.
And plus,
that's
it's going to be difficult to for all of us to discuss plot mixed with was it plot or was it just continuity mishmash?
Errors.
Yeah. I've written this. I don't know why I've written this here. This shouldn't be a whole round. This should be in what the things you might miss, kind of the Palpatine hints. So yeah, the fighting style, stupid.
Very cool.
The amount of power that she has. So like
Yeah.
Mary Sue is now
Palpatine
bollocks.
suit.
Yeah, the power of the balls.
That's Mary Palpatine.
The anger that she displays in certain scenes, including just firing when she's firing her blaster in the woods. She's firing, and there's like this angry face on her.
Me angry.
I'm going to leave that one to last because I really like it, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. In the extended novel of The Force Awakens, now I hung on to this, but I kind of just ended up just dismissing it because it's not canon unless it's in the film. Or the phrase is, if it's in the extended novel and it doesn't contradict what happened or happens, then it can be considered canon.
Oh, okay.
This doesn't, and this actually goes to prove something. When she's about to strike down Ben, but then the planet tears asunder, she hears a mysterious voice, and it says, "Kill him." And it says, a voice inside her head said, it was amorphous, unidentifiable, raw, pure, vengeful emotion, so easy, she told herself, so quick. She recoiled from it from the dark side. So that's in the book. It doesn't contradict it. And we know old Papa Palps has been sending his voice out in all different ways, so he probably...
Little Sheev.
That was him saying...
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if the voice had been... if the voice had said do it, then I think everyone would just been like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
And it would have given it away 2 films ago where they managed to, whether they changed it on the fly or not, almost keep people guessing until the last one.
Now, this next bit is awesome. Could be coincidence, it might not be, but Rian Johnson has contradicted it a little bit in saying that there was no plan, and he said this before it came out, there was no plan from Force Awakens as to her parents. That's why he was allowed to do what he did. So but if you go back, Rey's theme, music wise, the first 3 notes are exactly the same 3 notes as the Emperor's theme. I could show you on here, but it's not going to work for the podcast. It's the bit that goes ding 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 ding. I think it's that bit, or is it? And then you got the we oh. That's the Emperor's music, by the way. It's not really. That's from Wizard of Oz.
I was into that then. I was like, yeah, oh my
god. There's the first 3 notes, and then the last note of that bar are the same notes in Rey's.
Yeah.
And that is compounded, and this is brand new to me, compounded by, in the end of Phantom Menace, in the Naboo scene, the in that music is the Palpatine's theme. It's embedded into it and sped up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Very cool.
And that just shows again, and it's something that we discussed on the last one, where like the music overall in Star Wars is like amazingly interesting.
Yeah, it's the da 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 da. That's in the Naboo celebration, and that's his theme. And it's playing when he's like, "We will watch your career with great interest."
That's very cool.
This is good because Mark's setting up a lot of facts, and then I'm running,
You're
and my mind's running
like-
to like try and be like, oh, I remembered something. Speaking of, this is a good segue though because of the music. Gonna have to try and recall all your minds back to a very specific part in the movie. Don't remember the exact planet they go to. What's the new character? Zora Baggins. Zora Bliss.
Yeah.
Kajimi.
They go into the little workshop and they hustle and bustle through like it's another reinterpretation of some sort of cantina looking place, where there's like some people around like and then C-3PO goes, "Oh, nice to meet you," or "Don't mind me, sir." And there's like this little white-haired man with a little metal eye, and he's like tinkering away, screwing something. That guy, John Williams.
Oh, that's who John Williams was.
Yeah. I saw it in the credits.
You saw it.
Yeah, because Mark was like, John Williams is in it.
I was taught. I did film studies. I was taught to watch the credits. So like, and like one of my sister's it's actually her ex-husband. He would watch the credits and like had a talent for going, oh my god, that's the same assistant first director from this film. And so I was like, that's really nerdy, and I want it. I want this power. So I always, especially low down in the cast, I always keep an eye out for things that I
little bits, because bear in mind as well, like I think it's nice to give John Williams a little on-screen role after all the years, But there's so many rumors about Prince Harry and William are in it. Harry Styles is in it.
Yeah.
Someone else is in it.
Because
Someone else is
usually
in
they
it.
have like the
Ed Sheeran's apparently in it.
Stormtroopers.
Is he actually? Is he one of the two when she's like, "Oh, you're happy we're here," and because I thought those two might be someone because it was
Because they're doing something a little bit.
Yeah,
That's going to be the princes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That would be Harry and
No, that was
William.
That was Last Jedi, and they got cut.
Oh.
Did they actually?
Mm.
Oh my god!
There's a scene where there's a scene with Tom Hardy, but they're in a lift. But they're like noticeably tall, and then Tom Hardy's scene. He comes up and he's like, "Oh, FN 2187, I haven't seen you for ages. What happened to you? Oh, you've been promoted because he's wearing the
He
thing."
slaps,
He slaps him on the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slaps Finn on the backside.
Yeah, I think it's easy to give a lot of celebrities secret cameos if you put them in a Stormtrooper outfit anyway, isn't it? So like
That's Kojimi.
Hate
Is that a Wookiee
guy.
in a Stormtrooper costume?
Yeah, we're looking at the picture of Ed Sheeran. That's Kojimi, so it wasn't one of the. That's not a Death Star.
Hopefully
that's a Star Destroyer, so he wasn't one of them.
Hopefully your scene got cut.
And you see him again in there and ruining another precious
Game of
beloved.
Thrones. Oh, terrible.
As soon as his, and I
What
remember
the hell? Ed
Right.
Sheeran was
Joy.
Captain Phasma. Yeah, but anyway, whatever. I mean, if I got the opportunity to go in a Stormtrooper outfit for a 0.1 split second in the second of a
Yeah.
Star Wars
You would.
movie, I would do
just
it.
fucking around
Would you
on a
make
Star
sure you
Wars
hit your head
set.
on something? Then you'll be immortalised forever.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I'd jump in front of the camera and be like, like
Get him off set.
Ruin a whole scene.
drag me
They
away.
photoshopped his fucking head onto Han Solo, or no, Luke.
They have.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
His
that's-
neck is like
He was in that
long.
movie too. Ah!
It's treason.
Yeah, so and I'm sure like that's a fun thing about Star Wars. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and bits and
Yeah,
pieces.
exactly.
So more will come out, I'm sure, and we'll find
I'm
even
sure the
more stuff.
The Queen was definitely under one of those Stormtrooper helmets.
Yeah, I think she should probably end up Maz Kanata.
So, did anyone have any questions? Any
Oh, I do.
any questions?
That you might be able to answer. So in Force Awakens, where Rey gets Luke's lightsaber from Maz. Maz says, "Oh no, that's how I got that lightsaber. That's a story for another time or another."
Yeah,
It feels like we're gonna find out that story. We don't find it out.
Yeah,
Do
that's-
you know?
that's still a
what
story for another time.
Okay.
Story for
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a full story. I know the story of how Darth Vader's helmet was recovered, but not the lightsaber. So.
How was Darth
Ewok
Vader's
stole
helmet?
It's pretty. I
I
mean,
don't know.
it's pretty. It's kind of pretty straightforward. Except
like
it's like a really cool. It's a short story, but the girl that sat on the big fat thing in the bar, and she gets off on the communicator, and she tells the First Order
Yes.
they're here.
Oh.
Yes.
She is employed. She's like a bounty hunter, and she's employed to go and get a job to recover it. And she goes to this is why it's really cool. She goes to a planet where there's essentially an abandoned asylum where all the PTSD stormtroopers have been taken, and one of them was like collecting stuff, and he'd held on to. He was like a commander, and he held on to it. But she goes there, and it's like abandoned, and they've all gone crazy, and like the lunatics have taken over the asylum, and she has to recover it from him. It's never stated that it's that, but
but
Kylo
you-
Ren employs her
Yeah.
secretly, and it's like that's
Okay.
just definitely it.
That was another Star Wars book I never finished. Because is that in the book about her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one thing which I have looked up since, and I think I have an answer to. So you probably might have the same answer, and if not, then I'll give it. But it's not given in the film, and I'm wondering if it's because it's just supposed to be implied, and you're supposed to just be like, okay, it's implied. But Ray, I never got to tell you. I always wanted to
Oh
tell you.
God, yeah.
I'm just convinced that.
Oh,
And-
I heard something about this.
He never says anything.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it
Yeah,
doesn't
he
need to be
doesn't.
said, does it?
No, but I heard something. I think it was. I saw something on the internet. It was either today or yesterday. It was the fact that he thinks he's force sensitive or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the annoying thing about her not finishing it, that's good.
Yeah.
But the annoying thing about not finishing it is it's easy to assume that he's going to say "I love you,"
Yeah, and
Yeah.
John Boyega like shot that down on Twitter.
I think
which is
that-
fine. But like
Yeah.
that shouldn't be for the actor to do.
Yeah,
It's
no.
for
No,
the story to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
little bit. I think it's a little bit. And we're not getting on to the little constructive criticism section
Yeah.
yet, but I've seen an interview or somebody watched a version of it that then had a Q&A with the story group or maybe even J.J. Abrams himself, and he said it was that Finn's force sensitive.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes sense because at the end it's more than implied. But then again, you know, from a
It makes
Why
it
would
logical
you save that to a?
Yeah.
Why would you wait until you're dying to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I think I'm forced"?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and it just makes it look like he's going to say it because
And then
it looks like he's going to say I
hiding
love
it
you.
from
Yeah.
Poe as well, or implying that
Yeah.
he was hiding it from Poe.
Yeah, it did look like he was just going to say I love you, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was me that blocked the loo. I'm sorry. I said it was you.
We're going to tell you. You're a Palpatine. It just sinks.
Everyone else on the fucking rebel base knew except Ray. They were all just like,
If we don't have any more questions, it actually does lead in. If anyone has any more questions,
I do.
Okay.
I have a Sith-related question.
Oh.
Two-part question. One, have we ever been to Exegol before?
No.
no.
Oh, okay, well, the second part of this question's redundant then. 'Cause essentially, it's. I assumed it was something from before the Rule of Two was in place, and I was hoping it would be some sort of like canonical place where hundreds of Sith would like reside beforehand.
No, there were planets in the Old Republic when the Sith were numerous, but that wasn't one of them, which is annoying because I guess it doesn't contradict Old Republic canon because nothing in Old Republic canon, X-canon, has been contradicted yet, so you can just kind of like take it if you want. But it's referred to it's potentially referred to in one of the Aftermath trilogy books, where Palpatine has given orders to someone who's still around, and he wants to go in and find this mysterious place in the unknown regions. So that's
Yeah, it's I think it's like pretty decently implied, and like even if it's like old canon stuff that's not being contradicted, is that like the Sith as a like having like a community is long gone. Like it was a like basically medieval times in Star Wars universe terms.
yeah. I mean, there was rumors that the David Benioff and his mate, what's his name?
Weiss.
Wise.
Yeah,
Game of
DB
Thrones
Wise.
guys.
D.B.
Yeah.
Wise, yeah, that they were going to
D&D.
be doing an Old Republic series before they got booted.
Yeah,
I don't think the Ryan
yeah,
Johnson one would be Old Republic. It's a bit of a because like it's good that they've chucked this in now because now people are aware that the Sith aren't just two people. It's a huge thing. You can now go back to the Sith Jedi Wars.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and I think in everything that you're told about the Sith in the story of Star Wars, from say Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker, almost the whole thing of what Palpatine had done and what he'd been planning kind of almost makes you be like, everything was told through him, so everything you almost know was a lie because he was orchestrating so much more than what you actually know.
Yeah,
Like a lot of it is again implied word of the day, but a lot of it's implied in Star Wars itself and in comic stuff where Palpatine was always looking to replace Darth Vader even when he had him.
That's what I love about his character. It's like every second he's like, oh, kill Rey. No, just Rey, you kill Kylo Ren. And then he's like constantly like just playing. He doesn't care.
It's always for himself. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's always
so-
for himself. He doesn't care about who his apprentice is necessarily. It's just who is the most
who
fucking
can benefit
willing.
him the most at that moment. Yeah.
He's undoubtedly the most intelligent, and the reason he loses because Luke hit it on the head in Return that your overconfidence will be your downfall. But yeah,
Your faith
No,
in
forgot what I
your
was gonna
friends
say.
will be yours.
yes, yeah.
Doesn't know how to turn off his force lightning when it's coming back in his face.
Yeah, he's always
Oh no!
he's always had problems with
That
that.
looked like a horrible fucking death.
Yeah.
It looks so brutal.
Yeah.
There was in the facts where I got a lot of these. The article where I got a lot of these facts from. There was one I was just like, nah, come on. They were like Raiders of the Lost Ark reference when he's melting. I'm like, no, he was just melting. That's
Yeah.
kind of what would happen.
His face.
It's not a reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
There's only one way to melt.
I've
People
got a
died
pop
like that
question.
before.
Why was he cloning Snoke?
I think it was so he could remain a hidden presence because if you think about it, through the prequels, he was a hidden presence.
Yeah.
And he would use other people, so he's always used a puppet, and I guess
Do you reckon there were multiple Snopes?
I think some of them
at the
were.
same
I think
time?
some of them were test Snopes as well, like faulty
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if he had brought Snoke back, after Kylo Ren had killed him,
And his tongue came out like a cat.
yeah, and then he comes back again. It's like, oh no, you didn't kill me. I'm still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have played that one. You never know.
Put fear into him about Snoke as a supreme leader.
I think Snoke gets explored
Snoke.
more.
Do I keep saying Snoke?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Snoke.
I didn't want to say anything.
Say it because it makes me look like a dick.
we wanted to make you
Snoke
look
dog.
like,
Can you throughout the episode just go?
It's
okay, boomer.
Craig's Star Wars Harry Potter fan fiction crossover where you've got Snope and Snape.
It's his
Snape.
OTP, his one true pairing.
Snoke gets
Snoke and Snape.
If we can all call him Snoke, I'd be very happy.
Snoke gets explored more in the upcoming Kylo Ren comic because he didn't always look like a bald-headed, misshapen guy. He was
very
cloned
handsome.
young and handsome at one point, and then stuff happens and he starts degenerate, he starts falling apart a little bit.
Do you reckon that's from multiple cloning?
Possibly, who knows?
Or
So
maybe bad force times.
There you go. See,
Oh.
look at his little fucking
Oh, yeah.
do.
Oh, what the hell? What is he wearing on his head?
Why is there a K instead of a P in his name?
But yeah, so
He's got a fringe.
Ben's. No, that's a hat.
No, that's Bangs. That's Man Bangs he's got
He's
there.
got a fringe.
Snoke got some 90s bangs.
No, that's definitely a hat. Yeah, you can see it's a hat in that one.
Oh, but it looks.
But yeah, so like Ben says, Snoke, look what Master Luke did to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, never mind that, my young Ben. Let's consider what he nearly did to you.
Oh, he's just.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Oh.
He looks so friendly there as well. He's like a little old man. With
Oh, you
like,
see the planet he lives on.
is his hands like little hands put together,
Like
like
wearing
just
some
trying to look
little
after you,
mittens.
Ben? Oh, fucking hell,
Well,
that's
that's cool.
Oh wow.
I like that.
I like this shot as well. It's like super cool. Like next time.
Oh yeah, they're like, we're just gonna be in the background.
This is the guy that everyone's like, who the fuck?
Who are you?
He hench.
He is. That's just pure muscle, mate. The,
100%.
never had a proper 100% pure muscle character in Star Wars. Oh no, they're in The Mandalorian. There's the guy with
What?
So,
I have no idea.
what?
the one of the devil horns.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
No
I
idea.
forgot.
Is that in one of the two episodes you've watched?
Which is
cover a
now
lot of
3
it.
different episodes.
How do you know?
Because he,
No, you came to my cousin's house.
yeah. I went round and
Everyone's
watched
shut
one
now.
of them.
Fucking Mickey Mouse is coming into his house with his fucking baseball bat. He's gonna fuck us up.
Just gonna get a bang on the door in a minute.
Can you?
FBI.
Yeah, but fuck. Oh fuck. No, the Snoke clones thing was quite cool. It was like look, mini Snokes in a jar.
It was
Yeah, like pickles.
it was a good moment of show don't tell sort of.
Yeah, because it's gonna be implied that if there wasn't a Snoke figure, then it's gonna fuck with the whole balance thing. Because either the Force is gonna create more light side than there is, so it'd be just Kylo as a visible dark sider, and then there'll be more light side than he can cope with. Or there's a potential for another Sith to come up and be like, oh, there's only Kylo, fine. There's room for 2 of us. And then it cause all sorts of mayhem. So there needed to be someone like Snoke in place.
Do you think the master and apprentice Sith share a bunk bed?
Double bed.
Like Morecambe and Wise.
What? Are you in double bed?
2 sleeping bags.
No pillow. That's just a mattress.
No, look what Luke did to your face. Your pretty face. Look what I'm gonna do to it later.
That wound did look like something. You could. Crash-esque.
Okay. Right, I'm putting an end to this.
Snoke Spookaki.
The last bit I've got is what would you change if you could change something? Oh, there he is again. What would you change? Is there anything you would change?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I've actually called it. Is there anything you would have changed? Let's go same formation.
I would have either taken the Knights of Ren out or given them a bit more relevance. They just teleport around everywhere in this film and don't do a whole lot.
Fucking annoying. It's the only part of the film, first time and second time going to see it, that I was like, just go away. Just go
That's it, yeah.
away.
They were just a little bit of an inconvenience, weren't they?
Yeah.
Classic Star Wars, though, isn't it? Introduce something, make it look like it's a really big deal, like red Sith troopers, before the movies even come out, or it's the new hot thing.
Oh, look, it's in one shot.
Classic Star Wars, though, isn't it? They do. I think that maybe it would have. I don't know about taking them out. I don't know if I agree about taking them out.
I just think
What would you replace them with?
Stormtroopers.
Just stormtroopers.
Or Sith troopers.
Yeah, because they just
Or
there's
Imperial
no
Guards.
explanation for
Sith
how they
troopers.
keep getting to all these places.
Just
It was a bit Scooby-Doo-esque, where like they'd be on a planet, walk around a corner, and then they come.
like here behind the fucking like it was like very very like campy. Just didn't. It always took me out.
Yeah, I think that they were only in there, even though they served no purpose at all, to almost make you be like, oh but they're more badass than stormtroopers, because stormtroopers was pretty incompetent anyway. So if it was just like 6 stormtroopers stood around Kylo Ren at the end, like, we're gonna beat you up. It's even though we don't even know anything about these characters, you're supposed to be like, oh, but they must be like tough, because they're better than stormtroopers. But it's still not very well. Like, they could have done they should have put more of them in The Force Awakens. Then maybe you would have known a little bit more about them.
I think that's probably the
Are
solution, isn't it?
Were they Jedi from the training camp?
No,
the return.
They're my knee.
That's what they were. Harmony.
They were in harmony, yes.
They were from the planet Harmony.
in this, what is turning out to be a wealth of information and quite a pivotal like canon thing. This one issue of a comic that still do have many issues. It's not implied. I'm pretty sure it's actually said they're slightly force sensitive. They're not force sensitive enough to be anything.
Okay.
And that's why they're really mad, because Luke was like, you can't come to my Jedi school. Who was that?
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, right.
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm just joking.
Oh. Could have been.
No, I don't know.
know.
Who knows?
Jed, what would you have?
Right, got to think here. Because half of what I guess I really enjoyed was that it was almost like Return of the Jedi, in a sense of it being like big sequence, and it's an action-packed Star Wars, and just fucking hit the ground running and go super spectacular. But even if for just a second, it would have been nice to just have a little bit of a breather on a few of the locations, because a lot of the original Star Wars, there was almost no dialogue or anything happening for like long periods of time, where like nothing is just letting you just digest for a second. But this didn't really stop, but that's half the reason why I liked it. So I'm kind of like in two minds about that's one of the main reasons why I really liked it, and again it's one of the reasons where I'm like it was so much so quickly that you were just kind of just taking it in like Star Wars in the eyes, like
It's like a roller coaster that doesn't have that crawl to the top of the highest drop. It just goes and goes and goes, and, like, which is still fun, but you've not got that point where your body winds up and like has a little bit of moment of respite, and then off you go again.
I think
it could have done with a scene like in Return of the Jedi, and just it would have been fine, where she sits down with someone and discusses the knowledge she's just learned. And the implications.
I think that there was just a scene missing, which I think will probably be in the deleted scenes, where there is something similar to that, I'm sure, where it's just like a little bit of a slower pace. I think it would have been, because even when she goes to Act 2 and she's burning the TIE fighter and then she yeets the lightsaber, even then you're like, wow, because then you got the reveal of Luke. Maybe keep her on Act 2 for a little while longer.
Just like a day or so.
And the rest of them are like, where's Rey gone? And she's just like almost setting up her little cabin, like banging the X-Wing thing in the door.
Cooking porgs.
No!
Having a little bit of a chat with the Guardians that hate her.
They're like
milking sea cows.
But she's milking the wrong bit, and
oh right, you really had to go there.
That bit.
I swear
we
this
don't
was
know.
green when
Yeah.
Luke was doing it.
No, because it had 4 teats. We don't know that green comes out of each one of those.
It's like one of
Different
those.
flavours.
It's like one of those pens where you click down like a different colour.
Yeah. It's like a Napoleon ice cream.
You think that she's milking the wrong one? I would think she'd be. If she had a different one, I reckon she's milking the right one. Because you see that cow. When
Looked
Ray comes
happy.
over, Ray's like smiling, and then she realizes what's happened. The cow just looks over and is like, "All right."
Alright.
Oh.
All those years.
You call it Napoleon ice cream.
Is that what it's called?
Neapolitan. Napoleon eye cream, very different.
I don't know. I always called it that.
Twat. Snope.
Okay,
All right.
Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
God.
Oh no, the joke's passed. I was just laughing too much about that. I was like, all those years, Luke was like, "This doesn't taste like Aunt Bruce, though. It's a bit sour." I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Craig, what's yours?
What I would have done is kept C-3PO with his memory gone. I wouldn't have let him get it back as easily as he did with R2-D2, and I would have replaced the bit at the end with the creepy bit at the end with Lando and the ex-stormtrooper.
Oh
I can't
hell,
remember her
because talking
name.
about implication.
Yeah.
I'd have taken that bit out, and what I would have done was replaced her with C-3PO, and so he can be like, I'm going to take him on. I'll catch him up on everything, and remind
I'll take him
I'll
back
tell him
and-
all the story,
Hey, you haven't
rather than
told
just
us.
going, I've sacrificed my memory for the greater to get you guys where we needed, and I've got it back really easily.
Yeah.
No consequence.
But
I'd like it that he'd have to learn it all again through stories.
that would have been
and-
cool. And I think, can we quickly talk about that woman who sits down and says, "I don't know where I'm from." And hey, why don't we find out, kid? Is he going to bang her, or is
Yeah.
that his daughter?
I
Like,
don't
what is going
know.
on?
I said
Like,
that at the end
was
of the film. I was like, is that like a weird sugar daddy kind of
so
situation
odd.
going on
The
here?
way she looks at him and she's got like a straight face and then like a smile
Yeah.
slowly spreads across her face. I'm like,
Of all the
What?
scenes and bits of dialogue to leave in, that one really?
I think it's there to set up.
Do you think they're getting
show
a Disney
or-
Plus
yeah,
show?
like
Yeah.
a buddy cop sort of thing.
Disney Plus TV show?
I don't think it can be a TV show though, because let's face it, he's no spring chicken,
No.
Yeah.
and there's not a good amount of bankable time left. Whereas it's more likely to be a book or a comic. But that's a really, really weird thing to set up. Like to leave that in just to set up a property, unless it's the TV show. But like they would have announced it
yeah.
like by now. Well, no, maybe not by now.
I think, just your point about R2 and just him getting the memory back really quickly, I think it was, again, and a lot of my defense of Star Wars all the time is me writing it in my own head, so don't worry, this isn't necessarily right, but him dropping a line earlier like, "Oh, we all know that R2's memory banks are famously unreliable," blah, 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 that R2 was so taken back by being like, "You don't remember me, I'm your best friend," like after being like the dick in a relationship or like the
Yeah.
non-bothered one, that actually all those years, without having to be plugged into C-3PO, he's listened to every single word he said and recorded it in his memory.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, "Boop, there's your memory back." So R2 was like recording C-3PO,
yeah.
and but then maybe he just does get plugged in every now and again and backs him up. But I didn't see him do that, did you?
No.
So
There is going to be a large blank spot as well, where R2's inactive, where he wouldn't have been doing anything.
true,
For
so you
Well,
can-
just to build on that, what I really hoped was going to happen with the whole memory thing was that he'd get his memories back from the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
I thought
was
that's what
hoping
would
I
happen.
thought that was a real big opportunity.
It was, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
But then surely his mind would fucking explode.
Yeah.
Who built me?
Fucking hell.
But again,
Dark.
on C-3PO and R2 again, really quickly, C-3PO's last ever words in a Star Wars movie are exactly the same as his first ever words in the first Star Wars movie you ever see, where they're on the ship and it goes, "Roar," and he goes, "Did you hear that?" And then at the end of this one, he goes to R2, "Did you hear that?" And then Rey lands in the ship. So there you go.
Okay.
Another little Star Wars.
Inspiring.
Another little Star Wars.
factoid.
Little Star Wars factoid.
That's so cute. Yeah, I would have like.
Wait.
Oh wait. Oh,
No,
what am I-
yours was C-3PO.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I was like, am I just talking over everyone?
No.
Yeah, Knights of Ren was one, and also sort of omitting characters and then bringing in like I really liked a couple like the two like new cat like Zuri Bliss and the
Babu Frick.
not Babu Frick, the
Klaus.
Babu Frick.
Klaus.
no, the ex Stormtrooper.
Oh, Babu Frick.
Klaus.
Jana.
Yes. Like
It is Jana, right?
I don't
yeah,
know.
it is Jana. It is Jana.
It is Jana, because that's what people call, like... That's
Oh,
like
no,
a
it
slang
is.
name around Somerset, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Jana.
No, it was.
Yeah. Like I really liked their characters, but I felt like they brought in some new characters in the movie for like 2 seconds, for like only a couple minutes, only to leave out like Rose. And I really like Rose, and I just think it was like really almost like the probably my biggest bugbear with the film was it was a little bit like you got to stick to your guns sometimes and like not give in to people. And I feel bad because Kelly Marie Tran did an amazing job, really loves Star Wars, is really committed to it, really committed to the character, and because of fanboys, I just
Soy
feel
boys.
It's like Mark said at the end of the film. He's like, she got Jar Jar'd.
yeah,
That was it.
Oh,
they
yeah,
were
she
they were
did,
just
yeah.
like nose up. You're like off you go into the background. It's like
She looked pissed as well
Yeah.
in the film. She
Yeah.
looked
The way-
annoyed.
They tried to film it so many times. They were like, we're just gonna have to go with it. She looks really angry.
The way that I described it, or like the context that I gave it, was she had as much to do and as many lines as bloody J.J. Abrams' mate from Lost.
Yeah, and how come he got given such a big role?
It
all
was
of a
really
sudden?
weird because he's
Yeah.
got a Manchester accent, and that just did not play in
yeah,
the Star Wars universe.
I was like, what? I can tell he's British, but what? Where is this?
Who
He's
was
a
this
huge
character?
Man United fan.
He had like a
Ah.
little beard and like little spiky hair.
He's the one that
The
said about
blonde
cultists.
He was the one,
Yeah.
but one thing I did think was quite interesting, whether it was his character saying it or just anyone's character. At one point, he translated a message from when it was coming. Oh, it's coming through on every frequency.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's quite cool that now a human is because sure, I like humans can speak other languages in real life. It's always been droids translating, but he listened to the thing because you couldn't hear it on the radio yourself, could you? It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he was like saying whatever it was. So maybe that was his skill, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was kind of a bit randomly in it just because he's J.J. Abrams' mate.
There was a lot of J.J. Abrams' mates in there. Like,
the one with the mask, isn't?
yeah, she played Felicity in one of his TV shows.
Yeah.
Felicity, it was called.
But yeah, I feel like there was just so like not so many, but like a few new characters, all for the and like you could have given that screen time to
The character you'd already
yeah.
established.
The way I saw it, which was kind of like, oh yeah, that's true. Where they could have had there was no reason why she couldn't have gone with them to the party planet.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I got to stay here and I listen to stuff. I think. See ya. Bye. I helped save the Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a slight shame, but and almost in a way. Although again, like new characters, new opportunities, someone will see themselves in that character, etc., etc., etc. Merchandise mainly. The new lady with the mask was a little bit pointless.
Yeah.
In a way, I'd like it, if that was Rose,
Yeah.
then good. But she was kind of she wasn't pointless. She was just a bit plot holey convenient.
Yeah.
I have a special coin that will get you access
Yeah.
anywhere in the world. Ka-ching.
Yeah.
But we did get the Barry Frick, so you know.
Yeah. Incoming comics for that one. But yeah, I think I was just a bit peeved as well about how like Finn is like all of a sudden best friends with Jana, and then on the Star Destroyer she's like, no, I'm gonna stay with you, and he's like, no, fuck off, Rose, and she's like, oh, okay, and then the other woman's like, I'll stay with you, and he's like, yeah, fucking team, and I'm like, I mean, he went through so much with Rose in The Last Jedi, like it makes no sense that Rose would be like, no, I'm staying with you, and he'd be like, no, and she'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just leave you here then. Like that makes no sense. That doesn't that's not like me being like fuck the movie.
No, it's just
It's just a criticism.
You're allowed to have a gripe against the film.
Yes,
it's fine.
thank you.
It's fine, but only one.
You've chosen yours. We don't want to hear anything else from you.
Yeah, I get deleted from the mainframe.
So I got two. My first one is, you know, the scene at the end where it goes around all the planets
Yes.
and shows like the Star Destroyers like falling and stuff.
You see the Ewok.
Well, you don't have enough Ewoks. That's my problem.
Yeah.
So you need more Ewoks.
And you need Yup.
Yup.
Nub.
What, for like a split second on
Yeah.
that?
No. That scene needs to be 15 minutes long.
It actually just
More
needs to be the end
Ewoks.
of the movie.
But they've actually been partying since Return of the
Yeah.
Jedi.
They've all got like bags under their eyes.
How many years?
That's why they don't blink. It's all the drugs.
And this second one occurred to me, and it's not a huge one. I just realised that most people were going to bring in beats already that I would have said, but like, so Coruscant just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I was walking along and my brain just went, where was Coruscant during all of this? Oh my god. Because they even like changed it to Hosnian Prime as the capital, which kind of makes sense because the Imperials were so dug in on Coruscant that it might have been untenable to actually have the government there. Might still be doing repair work, but like to not even once reference it or bring it back up again, or like even have like a celebration scene like the First Order banners falling at Coruscant.
Yeah.
It's certainly not.
Did we see Naboo in one of those scenes? Wasn't
No, it was Bespin,
Cloud City, yeah.
Bespin, Endor, and what was the other one? Was there another one? There was another one, surely.
No, it was like 4 or 5, I swear.
But they were more recent. They were either original trilogy or new stuff.
Oh, Jakku. There was 3. Yeah, Jakku, because the
Oh, yeah.
Star
it
Destroyer
came
fell
down.
behind another Star
Yeah.
Destroyer.
Yeah, they were very almost odd choices of planets to have at the end, weren't they? In a way,
Well, I don't know if the Bespin thing was to tie into Lando.
just to be like, hey, remember that's where he was from.
Did you see the Star Wars show where they showed the prop? Oh, actually, no, it might not have been on the Star Wars show. It was during the premiere. They were cutting away every now and again to like little bits and pieces. And you know when they go to like the prop woman, the prop master on the Star Wars show, and she shows props, and Anthony's always like grabbing them and shooting them, and she's like, oh, don't touch them. They had Lando's cane, and the top of Lando's cane is Cloud City.
Oh, is
Yes,
it?
yeah. I don't know if I can find
Oh,
it.
cool.
That's cool. How much do you reckon that would be on the Disney store?
Oh, that's
£50.
Yeah, you can't see it as well there, but like, yeah, it's oh, there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? It's nice to add little bits like that.
Yeah,
I
nice.
mean, you're never going to see it in the actual movie, but it's nice that much detail, like the work that the actual prop department and all that type of stuff do.
Oh yeah.
Now that I've done my comedy throwaway ones, she should have stayed. Ray should have stayed. No one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you brought that up in the Star Wars podcast before this, and I completely
Yeah.
agreed with you
Yeah.
that it was the point that anyone can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not genetic.
This
A
isn't
Jedi.
this isn't my heel to die on. I won't get into an argument with someone. Like, it seems to be rampant on the internet with people who really like will die for this cause against the people who didn't want this cause to be the cause, and they're like, in your face, she was a Palpatine. She didn't have to be a Palpatine. Everything could have been the same. They could still have been a what was it?
Dyads.
Dyad. They
yeah.
could have been a Dyad. She didn't need to be a Palpatine to make that happen.
They're just two people born around the same.
But then I'm not going to get down this rabbit hole. But like on brief points, I actually think that the better story, now that we've reached the end of the sequel trilogy, is that those two are brother and sister is a better story.
Yeah.
I two things going into it, which I was like, right, this is the two things will finally be revealed. Rey and Ben are brother and sister, and he will redeem himself in death. And I think they, I don't know, like maybe they were brother and sister and they still kissed because Star Wars.
Happened.
But yeah, I thought they should have been related. And again, the implication being word of the day, was it implied or is it implied in anywhere that Palpatine created Anakin? Is that
It's-
supposed to be like what was going on as well?
It's definitely implied in like the films, like when he's giving him the whole Darth Plagueis talk, like the way he looks at him
Yeah.
when he talks about like manipulating.
Well, I don't know, because at the time the story was Plagueis made him.
Because I'm just trying to think if there's
Oh.
a bit in
Yeah.
this that kind of hint, because Kylo says something to Rey about like my mother is the daughter of
Yeah.
Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker. Like, I can't remember the exact line now without obviously watching it, but
Yeah.
So I think it was implied that that Palpatine was Plagueis' apprentice and then
Yeah.
ended up killing him.
But it's
Which is why one of the outcomes I'd have liked to have seen is if Rey was no one, but she was no one because she was like Anakin 2.0 and created in the same way Anakin was created, from literally no father and just straight into yes.
Yeah, I think
there's a shot in a comic from a comic where Palpatine appears in some kind of like apparition behind Shmi while she's pregnant, and people were like, well, that's what's happened, but like it's been written off as that's not, like, she's already pregnant, so
yeah, it was
he didn't make her,
an
and she
immaculate conception, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think like Palpatine definitely had its like workings going on there,
He was playing.
Jar Jar was a Sith Lord, we all know this.
and I guess that does kind of
Did
mean
you not stay for the post credits bit? You didn't see that bit. Jar Jar.
where Captain America and Jar Jar Binks
Yeah,
Just
out.
face the Jar Jar going, fine, I'll do it myself.
But then, like, yeah, so if Palpatine did help to conceive Anakin through the Force, does that then technically mean that Rey and Ben are related
Cousins.
Yeah, in some weird,
Not by
mystical-
blood.
but by the Force, which one could
Well,
say
they are,
is.
they're a dyad.
Force cousins.
Force cousins. Another layer.
It's okay, she's my Force cousin.
That's right. We have that rule in Merritt where I come from. It's fine.
But that you're forced to be with your cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've already got 7 toes.
yeah, it's interesting because like I was fully like when the expanded universe went and they wrote it all off and they started this new one, I was like, yeah, I'm on board, and I'm still on board, and I still love it, and I'm still going to stand by it. But like now that I've got to the end of it, instead of the people that criticized it before they'd even seen the end of it and like wrote their own versions, now that I can look back, I would say, yeah, what they had was a better setup. They don't have to change too much about it. That those two just have to be solos / Skywalkers. They hid Rey because Leia had this vision.
Yeah,
And they were like,
because
crap.
if she'd had a vision of what might have gone wrong, she might have been like, oh, if we had another kid or a baby who's just been born or whatever, I don't know, yada yada, like, shit's going to go down, we're going to have to split them up like we did with me and Luke.
Well, you'd want to split them up because if the dyad and the Force is what the Emperor needs to retain his power, you don't want them to know. You don't want anyone to know that you've got Force twins.
Yeah,
So-
and I think that in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, until it was revealed that she's a Palpatine, it would have worked. Not saying it would have made more sense or whatever. It still would have worked either way. It seemed to be like some way like hinted at that Han and Leia were always a bit like not shady, but just with Rey, they're a little bit like, who's the girl? And like, hey, you're looking for a first mate on the Falcon. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
he almost
like-
knew that he would. Like, I was like, he knows that's his kid, but
Yeah.
he don't want to say.
Especially when she's like, "Oh, I never knew there was so much green in the whole galaxy," and he sort of gives her that like guilty look.
He looks like someone who has deprived her of
Yeah,
green.
yeah.
But I'm just going to add a disclaimer on the end of this. This is all said out of love, not hate.
Yeah.
No,
Like none of
exactly.
us are saying these things because we dislike what actually happened. We're just saying it because I've asked this question. But I know nobody's forced to ask. Nobody's like volunteered these. And I've asked this question and people have said, and it's like it's just a what if situation. It's like Marvel what if.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's fun to imagine different alternatives.
Yeah. And it's testament to the strength of the world building that they've done, that you have the ability to imagine other possibilities. So yeah, that's the potentially final. It's the final episode of the Pretty Random Podcast does Star Wars, but probably not the final episode of the people involved in the Pretty Random Podcast do Star Wars. Stay tuned to this dial if you've come here via Star Wars searching, tweets, whatever. You've discovered us and say, yeah, you know what, these guys know exactly what they're talking about. I want to stay and listen to more Star Wars. And then you find out next week we've got a special on like farts or something. Then, but that leads me into, I actually wish for people who are listening to this show to send in suggestions for topics that we can do as specials. And bearing in mind that we've done like decades, phobias, technology, other things that I can't remember, food. So
AI.
if you have a suggestion for something that we could talk about for an hour or a little bit more, hit us up at Pretty Random Pod on Twitter. Give us a suggestion. Anything will go, and then you might find that we spend an hour or two talking about it in the future. Give us a search on Google, Pretty Random Podcast, find everything, and we'll be back in probably about 2 weeks.
2020.
Yeah.
See you next year.
For the beginning of the next decade. We'll see you next decade.
Oh.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
You're a boomer.
Okay, boomer.
The most reluctant okay boomer ever.
Okay.
No, and yeah, Star Wars.
Yubna.
I've been Mark, Holly,
Yeah.
Greg, Jed, Luke, and we will see you in the next decade.
Bye.
Laters.
Bye.